So, you look at a towering skyscraper and immediately praise the architect's vision, like the sweeping glass, the bold design. But a blueprint doesn't actually keep the rain out.
Right, yeah. To stand inside safely, someone had to actually wire the electricity and make absolutely sure the plumbing doesn't flood the lobby.
Exactly. And we're looking at the people doing that exact wiring for our laws today. We're doing a deep dive into this piece by Aries Chan from SPerience, Beyond the Lens.
Yeah, and what Chan really forces us to look at here is the Secretariat in local government. Because, well, we often think of these administrative offices as just, glorified filing cabinet.
Well, for sure, a law gets passed, they file it away.
Right. But Chan outlines this crucial policy to process pivot where they actively translate dense legal code into functional public services.
Let's break down that translation a bit, because the source talks about taking an excerpt from the journal, which, for those who haven't sat through a local council meeting, is essentially the raw verbatim minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly. The raw minutes and resolutions.
Right. And if you just run that through a flat scanner and save it as a PDF, I mean, it's a dead document. Nobody can use that.
That is the crux of the pivot from record keeper to process enabler. The Secretariat isn't just archiving the excerpt. They have to parse that dense text, extract the actionable mandates, the deadlines.
The penalty structures.
Yes, the penalty structures. And then they have to encode them into a highly accurate, searchable digital system so frontline workers actually know what to do.
It makes me think of a restaurant. Passing a law is like writing a highly technical recipe, but the Secretariat is the actual kitchen staff. If they don't know exactly how to prep the ingredients, the public never gets to eat.
I'd take that analogy a step further, actually. They aren't just prepping ingredients. They are building the custom kitchen appliances needed for that specific recipe.
Okay, wow. That's a huge undertaking.
It is, and you can see this mechanism perfectly with Provincial Ordinance 494/2025. This is the one adopting the Real Property Valuation and Assessment Reform Act, or RPVARA.
Oh, right, the tax amnesty program.
Exactly. The ordinance sets up a 2-year availment period covering penalties that piled up prior to July 2024.
Okay.
So, if a struggling taxpayer makes an initial 30% payment under a written installment agreement, the entire remaining penalty on their back taxes is waived.
Wait. So just to be clear, if a family is drowning in 5 years of interest on a lot, making that initial 30% payment wipes out the entire penalty. That is massive.
It is massive.
Just mechanically, though, how does a local government absorb a 100% waiver? They just eat that cost.
They do, yeah. Because, well, the alternative is zero revenue. The taxpayer is paralyzed by the compounding interest, so the property just sits there as an idle account.
Oh, I see.
Right, so waiving the penalty after a 30% initial payment converts that debt account back into an active revenue stream. You get them back on the tax roll.
That makes a lot of sense.
But that financial strategy only works if the execution is flawless.
Right, because if a frontline worker mistakenly applies that 30% rule to penalties from, say, after July 2024, suddenly the government is bleeding money it wasn't supposed to.
Precisely. And that is where the architecture of trust and verification really comes in. The Secretariat can't afford a single typo when programming this workflow.
Not even one.
No. They have to rigorously audit the new RPVARA rules against existing provincial codes to ensure there are no legal contradictions. They establish these cross-reference points so that every local government unit is operating off the exact same math.
And the article specifically points to their habit of mastering the policy summary to pull this off, right?
Yeah, the policy summary is the engine of the operation. The Secretariat creates these clear operational briefs that dictate the exact digital workflow.
Like deciding between installment and one-time payments?
Exactly. They have to distinguish the processing differences so the software logic routes the taxpayer correctly. I mean, a single error in a recorded date or percentage impacts thousands.
It's wild because we always throw parades for the politicians who sign the law. But it sounds like the true architects of its success are the unseen staff preventing massive administrative disasters.
100%. The law is just a theory until the Secretariat builds the machinery to execute it. Whenever a government policy actually functions smoothly for you, it's because someone took the initiative to build an accurate, verified framework behind the scenes.
That's incredible. So next time you seamlessly renew a license or pay a local fee online, ask yourself, how many invisible layers of translation and unsung civil servants did it take to make that single click possible for you?